What is the stupidest thing you have ever done to try to be cool? Got pulled over for playing my car stereo too loud. Took the ticket, turned it back up. Took another ticket, turned it back up. Took a third ticket, turned it back up. Spent the night in jail. Got out of jail, turned it back up. Went to prison for 5 years, turned it back up. Smoke cigarettes. I read a book about quitting smoking and it said the reason nearly everybody started smoking was simply to look cool. 100% that's why if you can make it through high school without starting, you're likely in the clear. Anyone that starts smoking after that? What the fuck are you even doing, lol? I started smoking when I was 21 because I worked in a restaurant kitchen and I was the only one who didn't smoke. Everyone would take so many breaks and I never got breaks ever. So I did mushrooms once and decided to try a smoke, then started smoking at work to actually get a break. I have regrets now. I also work in a restaurant. I just tell my boss I'm going for a smoke break. Then I pour a coffee or if I have time make an espresso. Then I just go stand in the sunlight and fresh air for a few minutes. Changed my life at work immeasurably when I realized I didn't have to smoke on a smoke break. That's just what they're called. Spilled my drink to hide that I pissed my pants. Was too cool to say I needed a bathroom. Edit. Before one more of you tell me that was actually smart, it was not. The problem was that it was November. We were outside drinking and smoking to hide from our parents. So when I did the quick thinking how to hide my wet pants, I forgot that pee is warm. And it was a cold night. So my pants were kind of steamy, lol. I was 22 and a bit drunk. Here's the story of the time I pissed my pants in public. I'm pretty sure it was first grade. I was definitely potty trained by this time. I wasn't a bedwetter, I never had accidents. If I needed to hold it for a little while until we got to a bathroom, fine. I was solid. Anyway, in my class, there were several boys who would ask to go to the bathroom, then just hang out and play in there. It was their loophole to get out of class for a while. I was not in the loop, and I knew none of this. One day, to combat it, the teacher made some announcement about how boys weren't allowed to do that anymore. I don't remember what exact words she used. I don't know how clear the message was. But what my 6-year-old mind interpreted from what she said was, no one is allowed to ask to go to the bathroom anymore. I didn't understand why that was the rule now, and I never brought it up to my parents. But I listened to the rule. Probably a week or two later, during class, I had to pee extremely badly. But I knew I couldn't ask. So I just sat there silent, trying desperately not to pee. Made it an eternity before I realized I was pissing my pants while sitting at my desk. Then I continued sitting there in my piss, trying to figure out how to get out of this situation. No one sitting around me has noticed yet. Well, I didn't come up with anything, and we eventually had to line up in the hall to go outside. I guess I just kept hoping that no one would notice. Eventually, a girl behind me basically yelled, "Oh my God! Joe peed his pants." It was over. The whole damn class knew. The teacher took me to some room, I don't remember, to change. My mom had to come in. When she got there, she asked why I didn't just go to the bathroom. I explained the rule. The teacher finally explained the rule to me, and that I could have just asked to go to the bathroom. I got shit about that from classmates until I moved 2 years later. When I was 8, my sister had her friends over, all teenagers, and trying to be cool, I jumped on the trampoline in front of them and told them I'd do a backflip. I'd never done a backflip, so I landed on my neck, bounced off the trampoline, and broke my wrist. At least it wasn't your neck. When I was in 3rd grade, I climbed a tree to get a friend's kite down. I had a crush on her. When I was up pretty high, a branch broke, I fell and broke my arm. I went home acting like everything was cool and cried like a bitch as soon as I got home. That's actually super cute though. I'd go out with you after that. LOL, I actually ended up getting a kiss from her later on. My first kiss. Went to a party and chugged 6 Mike's Hard Lemonades and then threw up for several hours. Nobody else at the party was even a little drunk. The last sentence makes it so much worse. It was a child's 6th birthday party. He wasn't even invited. I hear you. I showed up to a party in Cornfield with some classmates. I drank a liter of vodka and a 6-pack of Mike's in about an hour and a half. I remember laying on the ground vomiting and backing away from where I was throwing up. Then I woke up in my car and no one was around anymore and the bonfire had gone out. Sad thing is, I was 21 at the time and at a party for a 19-year-old. I was the only one of age to drink, but the one who handled it the most irresponsibly. Tried shotgunning a beer in front of my crush. I sneezed midway through and the beer came out my nose. Hurt really bad. This would make me more attracted to her. Honestly, she was cool with it. Helped me clean myself up and didn't make fun of me, so it worked out. I tried chugging 3 beers at once out of a very large glass to impress a girl. It worked, and she was impressed. Then she wanted to show her friends. Beer 4 to 6 didn't go down as smooth and I projectile vomited all over her living room furniture. Never heard from her again. Told someone I had a pet turkey. I have no idea why. I was like 6 and thought it would be cool. How did I get out of the lie? Well, conveniently Thanksgiving was right around the corner. My dad brought a duck home once and let me play with it. I gave it a name too but can't remember what. I then followed him outside and witnessed him murder my duck for dinner. I sobbed for hours. Our neighbor asked my dad if we kids would like his kid's rabbit. I'm not sure why. My dad said sure. The neighbor assumed that we'd keep it as a pet. My dad killed and cooked it that night. The neighbor kid found out. I'm guessing that his dad asked how's the rabbit and my sarcastic and not terribly sensitive dad said that it was delicious. Anyway, a few days later the neighbor kid went up to my brother, yelled, "You ate my rabbit," and punched him in the stomach. In junior high I wore a hoodie all year because I thought it would make me look gangsta. This included those balmy 90+ degree Texas days. Damn, it feels good to be a gangster. A sweaty ass gangster like me. Tried to strike a Zippo lighter on my stubble. I was about 15. It was fluffy hair. Ripped a zit out of my face. Looked like I'd been shot. Still have an odd clump of scar tissue in my cheek. I put a glass around my mouth chin and sucked a vacuum out of it to give myself a big red hickey, so I look like Homer Simpson. I crashed my father's BMW in front of my friends on the first day that I got my driving license. I'm not sure what's worse, crashing the car or having to tell Dad that I did it in front of all my friends. I didn't tell you yet that I crashed the BMW into my mother's car. Both cars were done. Jumped off a 76-foot cliff to impress a girl. It worked but was wildly stupid. No one had jumped from the 76-foot spot that day and I had only heard about it from locals, so I just went for it. Did you get the girl? Yeah. We went back skinny dipping that night and had a fantastic night. Wore my pants backwards during the 90s when crisscross was popular, so glad we didn't have social media back then. Once when I was like 5 to 7, I had a pair of pants with little red apples on, what turned out to be the back pockets. I thought surely such a fabulous detail would be worn in front so everyone could see. I was about to climb in the truck when my dad started laughing and asked if a monkey dressed me. I cried LOL. Tanning booths. Had a lady friend that was into those. I only did it like 5 times. I was so dark, the gray hair on my chest were literally glowing. Same here. I tanned all the time so it would look cool naked. Now I have skin cancer. I joined the military to impress a girl. Who are you trying to impress, Lady Liberty? Nah, she's a fucking prude. I did end up marrying that girl though, LOL. So it worked out. Not my proudest moment. 4th to 5th grade? On a dare, I faked a seizure in the middle of the school cafeteria. Everything just dissolved into silence. And then you hear my buddy, who dared me fucking dying with laughter. Once the teachers caught on. I don't think I've seen anyone as angry as I did on that day. A week's worth of in-school suspension, and got my ass tore up when I got home. Ended up moving from the school at the end of the year to another state. One of my college classmates did that. She went to the hospital and everything. We all went with her. We found out much later that the boy she was interested in wasn't giving her attention. Yikes. I didn't let it go that far, which is why I think I was let off so easily. I think maybe all of 20 to 30 seconds. I think as I was seeing the teachers' faces, it clicked real quick that I did something bad. Very bad. The things we do for love attention. You were also a kid. She was 20 years old. In 1st grade, I was very jealous of people with glasses. I wore an old pair of my mom's sunglasses and said they were prescription. So I was, 6-ish, wearing giant 1970s woman's sunglasses and couldn't see shit. My teacher saw right through it, of course, something I couldn't do. She didn't call me out, just humored me, to a point. I kept taking them off to read the chalkboard and she told me to put them back on. She called my mom and explained the situation. Mom picked me up from school and all I remember is denying it, and then my mom expressed her disappointment that I'd lied to her and to a teacher. So I told kids I switched to contacts, which were barely a thing then, especially for kids. This is so cringe, but I pretended to play street hockey when I was in 5th grade because I thought it would make me seem tough. I was about an 80-pound nerdy girl, and truth is I just really liked reading cat-related magazines and collecting Polly Pockets. I would do things like wear a fake sling from my arm and claim I sprained it playing street hockey. Saw a cute girl as I was exiting an arena. Figured I could swing my legs over the metal bar instead of step over it like a normal person. Did not. Smashed my head into a large concrete pillar. Was not cool. Did not get the girl. Did become gay though. I don't know if that's related. Well, you hit your head, of course you couldn't think straight. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.